All right, guys, welcome to episode number 2 of the Play On podcast. This one's a bit of a cricket special. So, for all you red ball enthusiasts, you're probably going to love it. And for all the guys that aren't really that into cricket, well, get yourself a pad and a pen, write some stuff down, and get involved because Test cricket is well and truly alive, in my opinion. We got heaps to talk about. We got a famous Aussie loss to the new Alpha Dogs, India. We've got Fortress Gabba now in enemy hands, and we've got can we fix Australian Test cricket by November when the Ashes is going to start? I'm unsure. Let's have a chat about it.
Charlie, this is future you. You need to save the world by releasing a podcast once a week. The people need your irrelevant thoughts and biased opinions. They don't know it yet, but they do. Also, you must create an 80s synth backing track on GarageBand and record my voice over it, because it'll be a cool intro for the podcast. Good luck, my friend.
All right, here we go. A lot to unpack. Pretty ordinary day yesterday afternoon, hey? To be an Australian cricket fan. We got smoked, really, I reckon, by India. I reckon they really, when you have a look at the whole thing, I reckon India just beat us all around the park. We're more consistent. Played better as a team, played to their strengths, and I think that they were just all over us. I think that they had a plan for every batsman, they had a plan for every bowler, and I think that in general they just cricketed better than us. It's just a bit hard to handle when it's at the Gabba. You know, I've pretty much grown up in Brisbane and never really seen a team lose there, and I guess there hasn't been a loss there since 1988, which is a year after I was born. So I'm pretty old, and that's a long, long time. So fair play to India. I mean, you can't take anything away from that Indian team. They were up against it after the first test, and they just rallied and pretty much dominated us from that point in my opinion. There was some highs and lows, and there were some good things to take out of it, and we're going to unpack all of that now. So I just want to say real quick, just the captaincy since Virat Kohli went after the first test for his baby, Ajinkya Rahane. I think that they just play better under him. I would be seriously, if I was India, thinking about making a permanent move to him being captain, and then Virat can just do his thing with the blade and just get bulk runs. I'm no doubt that there'll be someone in the BCCI having to think about that as a move, because they just seem to just operate better under him. Tactically, I thought he was a bit of a magician. He knows what's going on, that bloke, and you just look at his head, and he's just got a captain's head. I don't know if that makes sense to any of you out there, but you know, like big forehead, big cricketing brain inside there. He just seems to be like kind of calm, you know, like he's just a cricketing captain, I think, by the look of him. And I'd want him to be my captain. He seems like a pretty good bloke. So we've got a lot to talk about. Obviously, how good are India? Give them a big rap. Massive result for them. I reckon that they'll be partying and think they'll be remembering this win for a long time, as they should do. Just to what the problem, one of the big problems I think with Australian cricket at the moment is the scheduling issues, and I'm not here to make excuses for them, but we don't really play that much red ball cricket apart from our test team, but like leading up to the summer anymore. And then we've got all of our best players playing 2020 cricket, which is great if you're lobbing sixes and bowling Yorkers and you know, playing 2020, but it really doesn't put us in good stead. You know, having like I think it's 2 or 3 Shield matches before the Test series starts in summer. I don't think it's enough. I think these blokes need to play way more red ball leading up to this summer, and we can see who's in form. We can really get them used to because the different balls do different things, and obviously different types of bowling and batting and all that kind of stuff. I think the more red ball needs to be getting hit by our sticks leading up to the summer. And I think the BBL season, as I touched on last week, needs to be reduced from whatever it is at the moment, 1,000 weeks, to maybe like a little 6 or 7, 8 week, like quick and like powerful, you know, little series or something like that they could just slot in. And I understand they've got like scheduling stuff with footy, and there's a lot of sports get played in this country, but if they're not looking at that and seeing as that as like a huge problem, then I don't think they know what they're bloody doing. And as whoever they are, I'm unsure, but hope you're listening. The people want change, I believe. What else we got? We got Yeah, I just want to make a note that everyone in the world hates Australians in the cricketing sense. We're labelled cheats and racists and alpha dogs and all that kind of stuff. And look, that's okay when you're winning almost, because it's like, yeah, whatever, we're on top. But now we're not, and I'd say we're like mid tier kind of team. You got to start to have a look at the effect that that's going to take, and the media and all that does have an effect on the players, and it does have an effect on the group essentially. And I think that as the years go on, it's going to take its toll unless we can repair that. So I don't know what they're going to do about that. They obviously brought Tim Payne and Langer in to kind of change that, old school mentality, but it's going to take years, and it's going to take like kids coming through to change that, I guess. And I think we have a big future, like with our young players coming through. I just think that we need to get them playing a bit more red ball cricket. What else have I got? Oh, yeah. The stump mic is an interesting one. I love the stump mic, and I often look up on YouTube stump mic sledges and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And I love hearing it and seeing it and stuff like that. But as a mid-30s adult, I just think that maybe they should have a little light on the back of the stumps. And when it flashes red or something like that, it means that it's going live. So there's no swearing, or, Tim Payne can know when to sledge hard and when not to sledge hard, because you want your keeper, I don't care what anyone says, you want your keeper chirping at the batsman, and it's part of cricket, and it has to be. Keepers are chirpy. Let's keep it that way. Look at Rishbar Pant. He's chirpy as, probably the chirpiest. But he gets runs, so everything's cool. But if you, Tim Payne's under all this kind of pressure and stuff like that, he needs to be chirping. And if you think that that's the case, that's not the case, then pack your bags. I also think we should have DRS review training going forward. I think that should be a huge part of this, and we should be like someone, if it isn't already happening, that coach needs to be sacked if it is happening. But I swear to God, we never get a DRS review right. I can't even remember one right. And this is, I think we're third from the bottom as far as like worst reviewers in the world. I think the Windies, like Bangladesh or something like that. Like, we should be up there with our technology, first world country, all this kind of stuff. This needs to be like, the boys need to be sitting down and having a certain criteria that needs to tick every time they review. It needs to be like just a conversation between the bowler and the keeper, or not the guy at back pad. Like, he can't see anything. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, I really think that DRS reviews need to be a huge part, because there was a few times when the whole series could have turned on one review, and we either didn't review the right one, or we definitely reviewed the wrong one. So I reckon that's a huge, huge part of it. India need to get a new physio. I've never seen a cricket team with so many injuries. Like, you'd think it was an Origin game. Blokes were dropping like flies. Like, I don't know if these blokes just don't stretch, or stretch too much, or whatever. I'm not a physio. If you are, shout out. Tell me what you think. But, mate, India, I've never seen so many injuries. I know they got peppered and stuff like that, but they were going down with weird ones, And, like, I really think they need a new physiotherapist or an exercise physiologist or something like that. God help us all if they do get a good one, because their B team just smoked us at a place we haven't been beaten in 30 years. So God help us when their A team is all firing on all cylinders. Another note I've got here from the other day, Cheteshwar Pujara is the Indian T1000 Terminator. I've never seen a batsman cop it so much and just wear it. Like, he's like the least sookiest Indian ever. Like, he was just wearing shots. Like, I don't know how many. Like, elbows, ribs, head. Nearly had his helmet blown off his head. Like, if that had hit him in the jaw, it was gone. Like, he's going to be drinking through a straw for the rest of his life. Like, thank God for helmets, you know what I mean? This guy just wore it and just ate up deliveries. And he might be boring, and he might be, you might say that he's not a very entertaining batsman, which he probably isn't. But you got to give credit where credit's due. And Test cricket is built on players like that. And it leads me to my next point, is that we don't have a Pujara in our team. We don't have someone who just eats up deliveries, who just eats them up and just eats them for breakfast. You know what I mean? So we need a guy like that. It's boring. It's un-Australian to have someone just, leaving balls outside off and just ducking under balls and just, playing with a straight back to the bowler and stuff like that. But I think that's pretty much where they beat us. It's just by seeing more time in the middle and just frustrating our bowlers. So I really think we should be looking into a Pujara or something. A couple of people come to mind. Maybe Curtis Patterson maybe could be that kind of guy. I'm not sure. But I'm sure there's some kids out there that just want to block, and we need one of them. So we can't just keep relying on Smith and Labra to get the runs for us because, as you can see with the series loss, it isn't enough. All right, so now I'm just going to quickly run through some of the Aussies team stats and who I think should be in and out moving forward. First of all, Pukovsky. Fresh, only played the one game in Sydney, looked really good. The notes I've got here is he throbs. He has great hair and he's pretty thick. Looks like he works out in the gym and stuff like that. And look, that's enough for me if you get runs. As a guy with hair whose hair is escaping him, I like to see some fresh curly locks hanging out the back of a helmet. Is that enough for selection? I'm not sure. I think it is when he's fit. Speaking of fit, probably brings me to my next one as Sydney opening partner, Dave Warner. Look, he didn't go very well, did he? I think he got 20-something runs all up, or maybe a little bit more than that. Not the usual Warner on the home wicket we expect, but he was definitely injured. I think he rushed back, which would have been a great story, if he had got some runs for us and saved the day, but he didn't. So I think we have to analyse that and say that was the wrong call bringing him back. He does a lot at the crease, he looks good, he's got great form and stuff like that. But if you're not getting runs in cricket, then you're going to be looked at. And the reason I'm going to keep Warner in the team, even though I think he's a bit of a cheating bastard and he's not getting runs at the moment, is that he's got 7,300 test runs. At an average of pretty close to 50, 48 or so, I think. And that kind of experience, you just don't come by every day. So I think that he'll come good. All the good players do. And you can say what you want about Dave Warner. He's a very, very, very good cricket player. So hopefully come South Africa tour, he will get some form about him. He's got a lot to prove over there since the sandpaper gate. So hopefully he aims up and get some runs. Otherwise, then we really need to have a look at him coming back into the summer next year. But he doesn't typically get runs away, so it's going to be a real test for him. But we need him for now. We need him, especially because we don't have any other really good openers apart from the Balkan Bulldog. Moves on to Harris. Out. Nah, no way. Sorry, mate. You've had, I think, 19 innings to show us. I think you got some cheap runs maybe against someone else, maybe New Zealand, I think it was. And look, you're a much better cricketer than I will ever be in my wildest dreams, but I average of 23.78, can't convert, and just the way you hole out all the time, just the way you're getting out, mate. Like you're going to be listening to this, but talking to you like you're right here. But I just think maybe it's time to look elsewhere. And all power to you, Harris. Hopefully you can go back to Shield, get a heap of runs and maybe prove me wrong. We'll see how that goes. The next one's a bit hard for me because it's Maddie Wade, and I've always been a huge fan of Maddie Wade. I like that he has a bit of mongrel. I don't know, he's like 4 foot nothing. He never takes a backward step. He's an aggressive batsman. He's really confident. He bowls 140s and he can keep. And I'd imagine he's the kind of guy that you'd want to have around your team. He'd probably be good on the beers and stuff. I'd imagine. At a wild guess, but I've had enough schooners in my time to know what's up. So Wade, I got to say I think it's time to move forward from Wade and see what other options we've got leading into South Africa. He's 33 years old. He averages just under 30, and he batted well, this summer. He got nearly a good start most times he had a crack at it. I think 6 out of the 8. And he just threw it away. Again, a bit like Harris, just hold out. He's like top edge while sweeping or trying to hit him over cow and hold out. I don't know. So I think maybe if we can get a good up-and-comer, maybe if Head's going to get some more runs, we bring him back in because he could possibly if he got runs, be a future captain. But he really needs to start performing as well if he wants to get back in. But surely there's blokes just lining up, licking their lips saying, I want to play cricket for Australia. So it may be one of these hungry blokes. I'd say it'd be interesting to see what they do with Wade. I reckon that's the way they're probably going to go. Cameron Green, I've got an in. Keep him in. I think most people probably have him in. I think he's our future. He's an all-rounder. He's tall, great hair. Batted pretty well. Got a few starts. I think he got an 80-odd. I can't remember his exact score. I think that he is a serious future for Australian cricket. He's only 21, I think, or 22. He bowls 140s, even though he didn't get a wicket. Didn't really look like getting a wicket, but he can hold up an end. And we were lucky to not have any injuries to our fast bowlers this summer. But if one had got injured, he can hold up that end. And you need a player like that. So I think he's staying in for me. That leads on to Tim Payne. As I've said previously, I'm a huge Tim Payne fan. I think he batted really well. His average is up. He obviously had a big slip up in Sydney. His attitude probably needs to be checked there, which I'm sure he's doing. His apology for Sydney Day 5 seemed genuine. And I think that he's the captain to take us through at least till November. I think that he's got a lot to prove in South Africa. I think that a lot of this stuff, a win in South Africa, which is definitely possible, changes a lot of the stuff for these boys. So I'm sticking with Payne. He needs to improve. Probably one last tour. And if he doesn't perform, maybe then we've got to look elsewhere. One of the other things is I don't know who you really replace him with at the moment. We're kind of in this weird little rebuild thing post Sandpaper Gate, media outrage, like all sorts of stuff going on. I think that he's the guy. I think there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't see with captaincy, especially with a high profile team like Australian Test team. So I think that he's good with the media. He's got a good rapport with the boys and the coach. He's been around the game for a long time, but you've got to remember he's only played 30 or so tests as well. And he kind of got, he had to rush into the job and it didn't get the typical kind of toe in like an Australian captain would usually get. So I applaud what Tim Payne's done. I think he's a good cricketer. I think deep down he's a pretty good bloke. But how would I know really? But it seems that way. But he obviously gets frustrated when your team's losing, and maybe he needs to handle those frustrations a little bit better. Probably something I could do as well. We all could probably do that because we're all human in the end, I think, and that's something we kind of forget with these guys that we see on the TV. Okay, Payne's done. Stark. I think we rest Stark for a little bit. I think I like Mitchell Stark. I think he's a good player. His express, left arm, always difficult for a batsman, especially when the ball's kind of hooping around. And that kind of leads me to, it hasn't been hooping around for him, the last 3 tests, he hasn't had it swinging. A little bit of controversy there for me because he used to swing it a lot. And then all of a sudden we get caught with a bit of sandpaper in the pocket. That all ends. And it makes you question how long we were doing that for. I'm not saying that he did. I'm not saying that at all. I do know that each Kookaburra ball is different, and some hoop, some don't. So there's a lot to think about there with Stark. But if we have other bowlers chomping to get in there, the Nessers and the Abbotts, and then Patterson's when he's fit and he's not having lawnmower accidents, I think that maybe Stark can get a rest. But he's been good for us, and he's definitely a great one-day bowler. He looked a bit tired at the end. He was still bowling express, but he lost his accuracy. It was a bit, not as bad, but a bit Mitch Johnson, Ashes 2010-ish, if you know what I mean. I would get Stark in for the pink ball test. I think he really likes the pink ball. If there's day-nights, I think that ball does seem to swing around corners and stuff, and then he's the guy for that, I think. But I would be giving someone else a crack and maybe just having a bit more of a rotation of the quicks on the quick turnarounds. There was only 3 or 4 days between the 2 tests there. And I heard somewhere today, I think it was on the Grey Cricketer, that there was over 100 overs bowled each over the week or something like that. That's a lot of running, a lot of exertion, a lot of stress on the back, and Like, the physios must be just going overboard with these blokes. So fair play to them. Couldn't convert and get the 20 wickets in either of those games, which is what you need to do to win when you bat first. So I don't know. I think Stark maybe gets a bit of a rest. And I've seen a few comments lately saying Lyon didn't get enough wickets and all that kind of stuff. Look, the Sydney wicket was lifeless on day 5. Was unlucky a couple of times, couple of shit reviews like I touched on earlier. And in Brisbane, yeah, he probably could have got a couple more, but cricket's a funny game. Sometimes every near one gets nicked off and it gets gloved. Sometimes they miss every single one. So it's just a funny game, and you can't be blaming blokes like that for an out and out loss when we just got kind of beaten around the park. I think Lyon, for me, definitely stays in. The bloke's on 399 wickets. Maybe he could get a bit more variety in his game. Maybe he could use his Jeff ball or his Rongan or his Doojra, whatever it is, a little bit more, or maybe he could develop some other kind of, other ball. But yeah, he's in. Who you gonna put instead of him? Steve O'Keefe? Schwepson? I don't know. Lyon's in for sure, for me anyway. Look, summary-wise, I'm just going to start wrapping things up. I think the scheduling needs to change. We need our openers to fire. So we need to lay a platform, which just didn't really happen. Maybe one innings, I remember, that we did that. But if we're losing early wickets and then we rely on Smith and Labuschagne to come in and get them for us, we're never going to win. It's just, well, maybe the odd one, but you need our openers to fire. I don't know if you remember the glory days of, Langer and Hayden and Martin and all that kind of stuff. We used to it was always none for 100 or something like that. And that's why we used to be so consistently winning cricket games. So we need our openers to fire. Bit of a no-brainer there, really. Our middle order needs solidifying for sure. So I don't know who they're going to bring in, but we need more runs in the middle order. We need to have faith. We need a Pujara. We need someone who's just going to stay out there and frustrate bowlers and make them get out, not just holing out all the time. Just waiting you just felt every time we were batting that we were just going to hole out or something was going to happen. You just never felt safe. I didn't anyway. We need to rotate our quicks more on the quick turnaround games. And we need to improve our tactics for the captaincy-wise, I think. I think we bowled a bit short at times. I think some of Tim Payne's decisions on fielding placements were a bit ordinary, as you probably heard a lot of the commentators and stuff talking about. I think that you can improve on that kind of stuff, though. I think that's the kind of thing that you can watch videos, watch back and go, that's where I need to improve, or do a bit more player analysis or whatever needs to happen. I think that stuff can definitely be improved. More thick, luscious hair. I think some of the boys who should grow it out. Get some mullets going. Start wearing some gold chains. Let's get that back. Let's get a bit of an attitude, a bit of sassiness about us. I honestly think that helps. Dave Warner's tash needs to go, I think. It looks horrible, and I'm not a big fan of it. So I think that one can move on. Maybe some other blokes need to get a tash. I don't know. But let's start changing around the facial hair of the team. You know what I mean? Let's try some stuff out. With South Africa's a really good chance to get our facial hair right, get our hairdos right, maybe get some more tattoos. What do we need to do to make this better for the Ashes? I don't really care about South Africa as long as we just get it right start getting it right over there, so we can come throb and smash England, because there's nothing worse than losing to England in the world. And I'm just going to go out there and say, fuck England cricket. You know what I mean? Come next November, I'm going to be ruthless on this podcast. All respect to you, England. I love the rivalry. What else we got here? India are a better team with more depth. They're way more consistency from their opening batsman to their 11. And they just backed themselves, and they just had the ability and the depth to be there. So I honestly think we can analyse it till the cows come home, but India were just better. And it's hard for an Australian male cricket fan to say that, because of such deep rivalries and stuff like that, and their fans can be testing at times on social media platforms and stuff. But India just deserved it. They were better, and we need to just take our licks and move on, and we need to improve. We need to look at what they did over the last couple of months and say, we need to do that. How do we do that? So I think we can bounce back from this. I think that eventually hoodoos have to be broken and whatnot, and you have to. Sometimes you got to hit the bottom of the barrel, to rise up like a phoenix through the ashes. What else have I got? I think that's about it on the cricket. I've thoroughly enjoyed the whole summer. I think it's amazing that Test cricket's just alive and well. A few years back, there were people saying that it was dying. And they're probably eating their words now because that's some of the best cricket I've ever watched. No worries. Look, I think that wraps it up for the Red Ball stuff. We've got a bit of a pre-season footy thing coming up, and then we're going to be stuck into some footy, and might do a bit of a whinge of the week for you. Let's do it. Wiki whinge of the week. 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 Ruben Wiki. All right, another whinge of the week for you guys. Yeah, 2 whinges of the week this week. How lucky are you guys? Well, lucky I got a lot to whinge about, I guess. I'll make this snappy, but I got 2 actually. The first one is an advertisement that comes on when Australian sporting events are on. It's an American company. They sell face trimmers and stuff like that. Hair devices, while trimmers. There's just this ad, and it's really American, and I don't know why, it just really pisses me off. And it's like at the end, it's like they show the trimmer and stuff like that, and then at the end, this really American guy comes on, and he's like, "The power of a lithium-ion battery inside of a trimmer, it's insane. It's insane," he reckons. It's not that insane for me. I have a fair bit to do with batteries. I'm an electrician by trade. And lithium-ion batteries have been in handheld tools and things like that for years and years and years now, maybe 10 odd years. I mean, they replaced the nickel-cadmium battery in the early 2000s. So it's not fucking insane, mate. I'm sick of hearing it. Just stop. Change your ad. Get with the times. It should be like power of lithium-ion battery and inside of a trimmer. It's pretty normal, like that, or like something else, like put a different motor in the trimmer, like the power of a 5-liter Club Sport engine inside of a trimmer. That's insane. And I'd be like, fuck, that's insane. They'd put that fucking V8 in there. How do you hold it? Like, the fuck do you just do you have to go up to it and put your like that is insane. And people would be talking about it. Maybe you should do that shit. I don't know. Maybe you should sponsor the podcast. Well, I'll give it a wrap then. I'll say whatever you want. Look, that's my first one. I got another one for you. This one's a little bit different, and I'll tread carefully, which I want to. But recently in Australia, they've changed. We have a cheese brand here in Australia called Coon cheese, and Coon is also like a derogative term for the First Nations Australians, which I can totally see why that would kind of piss them off at first glance. It turns out it's just the guy's name who started the cheese company. His last name was Coon. But I don't want to talk about that. They've just changed the name, and a Dutch company owned that cheese brand, and they changed it to Cheer, which they could have been a bit better with, but they called it Cheer. And okay, fair enough. Good on yous. And I think that's happened. You can't do anything about it. But now the same fella who lobbied to get that name changed, wants to change the name of Paul's Smart White Milk. Milk's white, bruh. Like, I get it. I get that it's a word, and it's that I get it. I get where you're coming from, the anger you're coming from, but I'm just not sure if that's the right way to go about cultural change. I'm all for cultural appropriation, respecting past mistakes, moving forward as a nation in unity. I really am. I'm keen to move Australia Day, if that helps. I was keen for the anthem change, and I in no way pretend to sit here and know what it's like to be racially vilified for the colour of my skin or anything like that. I used to get called fat in primary school, and that sucked. So I imagine it feels something along those lines. And I don't really know how to change, and I'm not really coming at solutions. I'm sure there's heaps of different ways, and I'm keen to open the dialogue, and I don't really want to get political, which I'm not, but changing the name of white milk, it's not going to help. straight up, it's just going to make people angry and like pissed off. Like, you're just trying to piss people off, mate. Like, stop, would ya? Like, you could use your thoughts better than this, I think. You could think of something better. There's heaps of stuff. Like, Paul's white milk, bro. What else are we going to change? White King bleach, brown sugar, Black Sabbath. Like, where do you stop? I think we're fighting two pandemics here. I think one is a novel coronavirus that's mutating as we speak, killing hundreds and thousands of people or whatever. And the other one's stupidity. And we can't get a vaccine for that, I wish we could. I'd be just jabbing people left, right, and centre. I'd be like fucking Costa Zoo. Just like he's horsing people with the jab. But no, maybe this guy needs to drink some of the smarter milk. I'm unsure. Maybe he's lactose intolerant, and that I can understand. If that's the case, read a book or do a crossword. Look, mate, I don't know. Each their own, I guess, and everyone's entitled to their own thoughts. And you've just heard mine on that matter. So that's Whinge of the Week, guys. I'm going to let you guys go. Tune in next week for another episode 3. If there's anything you want me to talk about, hit me up on the Instagram, play_podcast, something like that. You'll find it. We're up on Spotify. I've just been approved by Apple. So I'll get the Apple one up soon. So hopefully we can start spreading it out. Might do a YouTube thing. I don't know. Sky's the limit. So there's no ceiling on this thing. Thanks everyone for the comments and support and stuff like that. And I'm reading every message, taking the feedback, and I'm trying to put it straight back out at you guys. So hopefully we can expand the listener base and get this moving and a shaking. So appreciate your time and have a good one.